those four that I just named, Kellen Groff, Ross, and Marcinkova, they could be indicted this week. We could indict them this week on multiple counts of child trafficking. And that's a heavy, heavy sentence in the federal system. That's 15 to life.
Yeah, no, so those are incredible. God, there's so many questions just around that.
But
just around Maxwell, I mean, let's assume, and I think it's not even an assumption at this point, but let's look at the information that we have about Maxwell in her role. She's one of 6 people that we know were in that role when it comes to Epstein in that network. How is it possible? How is anybody supposed to have faith in the justice system when she is indicted on a singular count of something that it is very clear she was involved with for years?
This is going to be up to Americans. I mean, are we going to coexist with a government that's covering up child trafficking or not? I believe we the people, the government is beholden to we the people before we the people are beholden to the government. And
in theory, that is supposed to work that way.
But with this issue, and as I said, when Bondi served her nothing sandwich, people were outraged on social media. A lot of people, and I'm talking people on the right and the left, were outraged.
Yeah.
And I think the right and the left are so polarized right now that this is probably the only issue that could bring them together.
Yeah, I don't think people who are going to prey upon others, I don't think they look at ideological political lines to decide which side that they want to find their victims. I think it cuts across both sides of the aisle.
And we have to make sure that our federal legislators investigate this with a congressional commission. Congressional commissions and congressional investigations have uncovered a lot of stuff and have really shown that the system can work. The way that Frank Church outed the FBI's COINTELPRO, the CIA's chaos, MK Ultra. There were a number of things that were outed by Congress in the 70s. And we can have that again. I really believe that if the will of the American people is there. And I formed Epstein Justice because I feel that Americans can do the right thing with this. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't have formed it, or maybe I'm just delusional, although I'm not taking any psychotropic medication. Maybe I'm delusionally optimistic that Americans will be outraged about this and we can get that congressional commission. We're going to have a majority in the Senate. We're going to have a majority in the House. And we're going to make sure that people go after these congressmen. If you go to EpsteinJustice.com, we've got a form letter that you can send to your congressional representatives. And actually, you can send it to every congressional representative if you want. And we just need people to start sending the form letters and also to start calling their congressmen and congresswomen. And we have suggestions on how congressional people can be confronted. Last week, there was Jerry Nadler. He's a representative from my district in New York, was having a town hall. And I went to the town hall with a friend of mine, and I was going to ask Jerry Nadler in front of everybody, and my friend was going to be recording this with his iPhone, if he would vote for a congressional commission to investigate Epstein. In that milieu, how are they going to say no? And we also want people to follow their congressional representatives on social media and keep track of them. When are they going to have town hall meetings? Because this is something that we can do. It's going to be a grassroots movement for sure. This is a grassroots movement. there haven't been any big corporations that have said, yeah, Nick Bryant, that's a great idea. I'm going to help you. I've reached out to some people who know some billionaires, and they haven't called me up and said, Nick, that's a great idea. I'm going to give you a couple $1 million. That hasn't happened. The mainstream media, as I said, it has boycotted me. But when I first came across this phenomenon in 2002, 2003, I was stunned. I was really stunned. And when I realized that this was a reality of all the books I'd read, my education, I'd worked at a university for 5 years, and I was completely unedified about this paradigm. I was oblivious to this particular paradigm. And I know that a lot of people are, but I also know that because of Epstein, a lot of people are aware. My little brother is in denial about just about everything. I mean, he never has read my books because it would cause too much cognitive dissonance for him. But I was talking to him over Thanksgiving, and I said, the government covered up Epstein. You know that, right? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. And I was amazed that he would just offer that so quickly without any forethought. So I think that there are a lot of people out there. I think that there are millions and millions of Americans that want to know answers about this. And would you trust someone who's aiding and abetting trafficking? There's no way that you would trust someone that's aiding and abetting child trafficking. How can we trust a government that is aiding and abetting child trafficking?
When you asked your brother that, and he agreed with your assessment, was there any indication from him that he wanted to actually see anybody held accountable, or was it just kind of like, yeah, I know, but because the acknowledgement that you may feel that way, it seems as if there's a step missing, and that's the next step where you realize that there has been a wrong, and then you want to have it corrected.
Yeah, I definitely think that he would take the next step for sure. And my family, they haven't read my books. No one in my family has read my books. I mean, because of the cognitive dissonance.